a lot of nuts!
Fellas, we have a problem. Somebody, and I'm not pointing any fingers here, thought it would be a good idea to let women on the internet. I don't know when they cast the vote for this, but I would have liked to be included because now we have some problems. Mary Catherine Starr is a woman who runs an Instagram account by the name of MomLife Comics, in which she makes some very cute illustrations inspired by her life as a mother and a wife. And Twitter hates her fucking guts. On first inspection, there wouldn't seem to be anything too malicious about this woman's webcomic that would make you want to hate this webcomic simply because it was made by a woman. However, on further inspection, you can see that there is a few things that fall a little bit out of the traditional gatekeep, girl boss, gaslight mentality that Twitter seems to have picked up on and subsequently dunked. The first issue I have with MomLife Comics is not necessarily one that Twitter is getting up in arms about, but still one that I feel is important to talk about, is the abundance of text in a tremendous number of these webcomics. If you're new to the internet, you would be forgiven for thinking that this isn't that big of a deal, but I will remind you that the creator of the Lost comic, the comic named Control-Alt-Delete, received a similar amount of flack for the abundance of text, although it was criminal back when Tim Buckley was making those comics. In fact, they came up with a rule called the 2-panel rule, where you could basically just take everything out of the middle of a Control-Alt-Delete comic and it would probably be funnier, because there was such a novella of text between the setup and the punchline that it almost felt like the artwork didn't matter. In fact, Tim Buckley himself almost confirmed this by the fact that he would reuse artwork, reuse the same images from the comics, and just change the text in order to make a new webcomic. Again, it should be about the artwork, should it not? And if we can give Tim Buckley shit for that 20 years ago, I feel like modern webcomics should have learned at least something from Control-Alt-Delete. The main thing that Twitter is getting upset about is the seemingly aggressive stance that she has on the differences between herself and her husband when it comes to the marriage and the kids and their parenting techniques and whatnot. The first one that people started to have an issue with was this webcomic, because it's just objectively not true. I don't care if you think this is your personal recollection of how this isn't true. We have cave paintings of cavemen bringing in all the groceries from Whole Foods in a single trip. It is in our DNA to not make a second trip. I promise you this is bullshit. A huge number of these webcomics can kind of just be watered down to, I do all the work in the house, meanwhile my husband, and this all culminates in one particular webcomic that we'll lovingly refer to as The Peach, in which she depicts herself as the all-caring, family-loving, children-first mentality of a mother, and the way that she observes a simple, innocent peach on her countertop versus how her husband views a piece of fruit in the home that they both pay for and would interpret as food for his breakfast. This easily manipulated 2-panel webcomic for any webcomic artist out there. The second you make one of these that's got even a slightly edgy tone to it or a controversial opinion, this is when your career is going to start to get a little bit spicy on Twitter. The discourse around this has varied everything from you're valuing a little bit too much the peach that's sitting in your kitchen to, if you really care that much about a piece of fruit, maybe communicate with your husband. That feels like the right thing to do. But demonizing him in this platform has resulted in a tremendous amount of backlash, as the Twitter community has taken to making memes out of this webcomic in order to express just how crazy this woman kind of seems with the things that she's bitching about online. There's a fantastic thread on Twitter where somebody has taken all the webcomics and replaced the wife with the crying soy jack and the husband with the Chad face, and I have to admit they almost feel better that way. The internet's been making a tremendous amount of memes and parodies with a bunch of other things, and they're all hilarious, and I have to say it all feels a little bit deserved, right? Because she's walking a bit of a fine line between making relatable and entertaining content for moms and wives that can all share their frustrations and get it out a little bit on the internet, but crossing over that line into almost borderline abusive recollections of the way that her husband and her kids make her feel. It's not like they have their own Instagram page with 200,000 followers where they can share their feelings and their side of all of these everyday mundane tasks that seem to frustrate her. So I saw a couple of tweets outlining something to the tune that the husband actually has 2 jobs and cooks every meal and had to go to the ER because he's overworked by so much, and the mom's a terrible person. And I didn't go into fact check any of this because I'm not Philip DeFranco. Like, what, you guys are expecting too much out of it. Oh, Sumeto got something wrong on a video on the internet. Shut up, okay? I'm here for the memes. I'm not doing extra work. My point is, there's probably a whole other side to this from the husband's perspective that the wife does equally annoying things, but we're not seeing it because he doesn't also make webcomics. Although, hey, buddy, if you got some time, I'd love to read it. My point is, I don't feel all too bad about the hate that she's getting online. As a content creator, unless you're grooming kids, embezzling money from a fundraiser, or impersonating Dream to sell Minecraft sex mods to somebody else through Discord, a cancellation is nothing. Criticism from Twitter is nothing. Hate on the internet is nothing. Once this all blows over in no more than 72 hours, I'm sure MomLife Comics will find herself with 10 times the followers that she had before, selling more things from her online store than she ever did before, and will have gained much popularity from this entire endeavor, just like it has always been. And I am excited to see some future MomLife comics that hopefully feature, you know, you guys going to couples therapy or something, because seriously, it's just a peach. Transition. Now, you guys know how I feel about Will Smith, okay? I despise the idea of celebrities taking over the YouTube space. It is one of my biggest pet peeves. YouTube historically, and this is said very well by Bo Burnham in an interview, which I'm not going to link because, again, I'm not going to take the time to find it, but just trust me, in which he states that YouTube was a place for the people, where anybody with a camera or a smartphone could upload videos and garner a small community of like-minded individuals to share their creative intent and their artwork to the minimal ability that they do. And it's weird to see celebrities with all the money and resources in the world make equally high productive content with less heart and less personality driven in it, and take over a tremendous amount of space on the trending tab or what people are talking about, or getting a bunch of views on a platform that's really not designed for them. It is for this reason that I never really cared too much for Will Smith. I mean, I understand that YouTube's taken up the dude as a mascot and stuck him in the YouTube rewinds and everything, but aside from the fact that he slapped a stand-up comedian for doing stand-up comedy, I've never had a ton of respect for him as a YouTuber. That was until recently, where because of that endeavor where he slapped Chris Rock on stage at the Grammys, he recently put out an apology video on YouTube, talking over his mental state, apologizing to Chris Rock and his brother and his mom and a bunch of other people for his actions. And I don't think I can not call him a YouTuber anymore. The man made an apology video. That is the most YouTuber thing you can do for a legitimate fuck-up. I hate to say it, but I think Will Smith is now officially a YouTuber. Transition. So sometime last week, there was this Wall Street Journal article going around saying that Elon Musk had supposedly slept with Google co-founder Sergey Brin's wife, leading to the couple's divorce, and the two have been on bad terms ever since, which is not a very gamer move. You can't be having sex, you play video games. That's like... I can't think of a better example. Those two things don't go together. Elon Musk was quick to dispel this on Twitter, responding and stating that it was complete bullshit. Him and Sergey are good friends and had even gone to a party just the other night, and he had nothing romantic between Sergey and his now ex-wife. I share the sentiment of this follow-up tweet, which said, "Woo, good to hear that. Keep your dick in your pants, buddy." To which Elon Musk responded, "I haven't even had sex in ages," parentheses, sigh. At first, it was cool having a billionaire on Twitter who could share memes with the common folk like the rest of us, but at a certain point, you kind of have to hope that people who have that much money and so much more responsibility would have some level of staying away from the terminally ill online mentality that the rest of us seem to succumb to on Twitter. But I've already experienced this cringe, you might say. How could I prevent myself from witnessing this kind of cringe on the internet? May I introduce you to a new meme I've discovered known as the Cringe Hedgehog. Let me put you through a scenario. You're scrolling TikToks or browsing something on Twitter and suddenly see a video, and you realize very quickly, oh no, this is cringe. However, you can't stop yourself from continuing to watch. Something piques your curiosity. You know it's going to be cringy, but you still want to see the punchline to whatever joke is being set up, but suddenly...
私の名は吉良義景。年齢33歳。自宅は森王町北東部の別荘地帯。
Wow! Like a superhero in the night, he swoops in to save you from having your time wasted. You were about to cringe, but no, not on this hedgehog's watch. He will swoop in the second you're about to experience cringe and save you from it. I wonder if he only does it once.
私の名は吉良義景。年齢33歳。自宅は森王町北東部の別荘地帯にあり、 結婚はしていない。仕事は亀有チェーン店の会社員で、毎日遅くとも夜8時までには帰宅する。タバコは吸わない。
Why did he exit by saying adios? He was speaking Japanese the whole time. And the subtitles were in English. It's not like it was subtitled for Spanish. What? It doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't need to make sense. At the end of the day, the Cringe Hedgehog can't save you from the cringe that is this video because you already watched all of it. You might as well subscribe at this point because if you don't, I will be sad. Remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video to any regard. Big shout out to the Patreon boy scrolling in the back. Thank you so much for funding this project. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Spisu.